Good morning. Happy Saturday. Welcome to Stamp and Create with Beth. I'm Beth Roy, an Independent Stampin' Up demonstrator. Today is Saturday, November 1st, 2025. And I'm just going to pull up my video here. Say good morning if you pop in. If you're watching the replay on Facebook or YouTube, please say hello. If you're new to hanging out, let me know where you're watching from. Okay, so adjust a little bit here. So good morning, good morning. Make sure I'm just, there we go. Okay, so today I want to do a fun fold with you. So I'm going to just give it just a minute here for a few people to pop in, and then we're going to get started. So I'd love to hear in the comments if you are making your own holiday cards, how that's going, and I'd also like to know what other kind of things you make. So as we get into my 12 weeks of inspiration for Christmas, I like to show gift ideas, and I like to show boxes you can make and little treat things. And so we're going to start November, kind of is the month where I start making those kind of things and kind of squaring away like what I'm giving or what I want to have on hand to give out. So good morning, Christy. Good morning, Linda. So I would love to know how that's coming along for you and what other things you might make. Good morning, Deb. I hope you all are well. So today I want to do a fun fold, and you see 3 of them that I made. So I like to use all the products that I have invested in. So I have some new things and I have some old things. So you might think about what you have, and I also like to mix and match. So I'm gonna sit down. It's kind of chilly in my room today. How is it where you guys are? Okay, so we are going to do this fun fold. This was the first one I did, so I'm going to talk about this one. I have seen this. It's called an angled gatefold. So it's a gatefold because the card folds like that. Now, typically when I do a gatefold, they meet in the middle and you have some kind of belly band that holds your card shut. So this one's a little bit new for me. I don't think I may have done this fold before, but I definitely haven't done an angled one. So I have seen lots of people doing these cards, but I decided to check out Julia Sue's stamping. And her headline was that she cuts angles with no math. So I thought, okay, I want to see how she does it. I know how I do it. And we are pretty similar in the way that we do angles. I hate math to do angles, but I love the look of angles. So that is where I was inspired. And I did change the measurements to fit my needs and how I like to craft. So I will give you those. And there will be a blog post coming up later in the next couple days that will have all that written down for you. It's frosty in North Carolina. Oh yeah, I bet. It's really frosty here too, which, you know, we're kind of used to that, but I'm not ready for it. Okay, so on this one, this is my first one I made. I used a cloud cover base, just our regular dyed cardstock. And then I used Secret Sea two-tone, and I used the Peaceful Garden Designer Series paper. It's finally back in stock if you've been waiting on it. And I used, this is Peace on Earth. So this is a bundle. It has some little dove die cuts, and I used some stylish shapes to create my layer here. And then you just, the middle part is the size of a normal, our standard card here in the US. So these layers are just our standard layers. And you can decorate this however you want. I left mine pretty simple. There's some room to write. It does stand up, and it opens a little bit. So it's still a pretty card that you can display. So this was my first one. And then I created this one here. And I used some retired stuff, but this paper you can get, well, it's out of stock right now, but hopefully it'll come back in soon. It's supposed to be in the next couple weeks. This is the Traditions of Christmas. Let me make sure I call that the right thing. Yes, Traditions of Christmas. And it has this really pretty red polka dot. You guys know I like polka dot. I love reds with blue and teals. So a lot of my holiday cards have this color scheme. And I used, this is Spirited Snowmen. I love snowmen. And so I just got out some of my favorite sets. And this was a die set that retired, the Deckled Circles. And I just used some things I had on hand. Now these greetings is from a retired set as well. I have some of my favorite greetings that I've kept over the years. And then you're going to see, I'm going to show you where this came from. But I had a little Designer Series paper left over, so I used it on the inside. So you can use whatever you have and make cards that fit the recipient. Or just things that you like, images you like for the winter. Now this one, I'm going to tell you, I made a mistake. You know, those things happen. So I'm going to actually have to use I have some bigger envelopes that are a little bit bigger than the Stampin' Up! Medium envelopes. And that's because I like to buy colored envelopes. So I have lots of different envelopes. But this one, I forgot to trim my card base to the right size. So guess what? My middle is bigger than the standard card. So that happens. That's okay. I will just put it in a bigger envelope. No big deal. So my flaps are correct, but I forgot to trim my full length of my base. But this one I used, this is all current, things that you can get in my store. This paper, oh my gosh, let me tell you what the name of it is, because it is not a holiday paper. It is probably one you wouldn't expect. It's from the Florals in Bloom. So it's this flower paper, but it has a striped piece that was cloud cover in it. So I used that for a holiday card. So I'm going to give you a little challenge here to go through your Designer Series paper and see what patterns you can find that you can use on your holiday cards, even if they weren't marketed as a holiday pack. Good morning, Maggie. Thanks for joining us. Linda, you've had rain for 3 days. Yes, we have had a lot of rain here. It rained quite a bit. Now it's just cold. Okay, so I used that Florals in Bloom paper pack for this striped, and it's a cloud cover. And I used, this is Cherry Cobbler two-tone. So for a lot of my layers, I've been using the two-tone. Number one, I like that there's a dark side, which is the original color, and then a light side. But it's also a little bit lighter weight than the dyed cardstock, so it makes for nice layers. So this is Scenic Adventure. This is the tree. And I actually used some blends on this front one to make it like a decorated Christmas tree. And the little house, the cabin here, is from Woodland Scenery. And 'Tis the Season is from the Traditional Labels stamp set. It does have a coordinating die set with lots of different shapes, so that's a great addition to your collection. So this one opens, and then that Merry Christmas is also from that Traditional Labels, and I just decorated the inside with a little Christmas tree like I had on the front. So those are my 3 samples for this card. What do you guys think? And if I put these together, you can see here, I forgot to cut off 1/4 inch. And so that's how that, when I was finishing it off, I thought, why are my measurements wrong? But, you know, like I said, it happens. Oh, Maggie, you're lucky. Yes, I'm sure you're thinking no, because summertime's awful, right? So you have summer for when, our summer for your winter. Or fall. It's not winter yet, right? We've got a little time. We're only halfway through fall. So, okay, you guys ready? I have 2 choices for you for today. We are going to make a card that looks different than the 3 I just showed you. But it's all the bones are the same. All the measurements are going to be the same. We're just going to pick how we want to do it. So are you guys ready? So here's card number 1. I have a basic white base, and I have Secret C layers, so we'll have a white layer on that. These are for our flaps. So we've got Secret C, and then I have this beautiful Traditions of Christmas paper. And what we're going to do on this one is it's just going to have some simple greetings. We're not going to have a bunch of layers. So this is a simpler card. I do have my little mini cut and emboss machine over here, so we can use one of those traditional labels and cut our greeting. So it's going to be kind of like this, but without any extra thing. So we're just going to do a greeting on the front. Okay, so that's option 1. Okay, you guys ready? Option 2 is this, and I love these colors together. This is Pool Party, Cherry Cobbler, and Secret C with some white. And this will have a white layer as well. I have it back here behind me, forgot to get it out. So this one, this is also from the same paper pack, that Traditions of Christmas. You can see it has poinsettias on the other side. And I thought for this one, we could do a layered card, kind of like this. And we could use this Woodland Scenery stamp set to stamp a little scene. And then we could still bring in a greeting from this. Or I'm going to show you this. This is not available right now, but when it comes back, you can sign up to be notified. This is the Common Bright kit. It was a Christmas card kit. It's gorgeous. I did all of mine. I don't have them near me, or I would show you. But I love this stamp set. So it has All is Calm, All is Bright. It does have a little tiny house in it, and a tree, and some snowflakes. But I like the greetings from our house to yours. It has a smaller Merry Christmas. So I've been using that a ton. Okay, so those are our 2 options. So this one's very simple. This one has a little layered, a little scene with some layers on it, but they will come together fairly quickly. So what do you guys think? And depending on how quick I make it, I may make the second one. We'll see. We'll see where we go. Okay, so option 1 or option 2. Let's vote in the comments. I'm going to catch up and see who else is joining us here. Maggie of Continuous Summer. Yeah, with just mixed in with all the other seasons. Yep. Yeah, I'm not really looking forward to super duper cold just yet, but you know, I just use that time to kind of do a lot of coloring and a lot of stamping. It's a good excuse to stay in your craft room, right? Oh, I see a lot of people saying number 2. All right. So if I have time, I'll come back to this one. Let's get started here. Let me grab my piece of basic white, and I will tell you the measurements as I go. But again, you don't have to worry about writing those down. It will be on the blog post. Okay, so I'm going to tell you all my bits here, but first we're going to cut our base. And then we're going to score it. So I want my base to be 5.5 by 10 3/4. So I changed that measurement from the original card I watched. So I'm going to, this way needs to be 5.5, and this way is going to be 10 3/4. So I'm going to go to 5.5. And I know this is 11, so I can cut a 4th off, but I need to have my arm out anyways. So I am going to go ahead and do that. That's the beauty of this trimmer. It goes clear to 17. Okay, so I need 10 3/4, and I'm not standing, so I hope I'm getting it right. Basically, you're cutting a 4th off, which is on this side. So you don't have to open the arm. I just prefer to. I like to double check myself. Okay, so here's our card base. Now we need to score. So you need to score at, should I tell you? Yes, 3 1/4. So 3 1/4. And make sure you score. I can't tell you how many times I accidentally grabbed this blade. You want to make sure you have your scoring blade here. Now, I didn't look to see what the measurement was, so I'm going to turn it this way and score at 3 1/4 again. But if you like to slide your paper along and then score again, I'm going to tell you the measurement here in a second. That's 3 1/4. So if I did 3 1/4 and then 7 1/2. I guess I should have been able to do that math. No, is that right? Yes. So 3 1/4 and then 7 1/2 will give you your score line if you like to slide your paper down. You can always just turn it around, make it easy. Okay, so while I have my trimmer out, I'm going to put my base back in. This is the 5 1/2 inch side, and I'm going to take it to 4 1/4. Now, depending on how you like your angle, you can change this if you want, okay? I am going to take a pencil, and I like to use a mechanical pencil, and this is how I cut my angle, okay? So I'm just making sure it has long enough lead that I can make a little mark in here. Okay, so I'm going right in my little cutting track here, and I'm making a pencil mark. And then I'm going to come down here. I know you can't see the bottom. Let's see if I can slide up enough for you to see it. So I didn't move my paper. I'm also marking this end right in the track, okay, just on the end, on either end. Now, I'm going to stand for this. Hopefully I don't block the light too much. So I'm not worried about how dark these are. I have an eraser that will take care of that. But what we're going to do is first I'm going to score, or I'm sorry, not score. I'm going to fold these and use my bone folder so that I can see where that folds a little better. So both of your flaps fold in. And I'm just burnishing that really well to get that, excuse me, to fold. So when our finished card will fold like this and like that, we're going to use those little marks to cut our angle. Okay. So I'm going to use this mark, and I'm going right to the top of that score line, and it's going to go, you're lining it up right here in the track of your trimmer. So you could use a ruler, make a line, and, you know, cut it or whatever. I just line it up like this. Hopefully you can see that. So when I close this, I can see that mark and then the top part of that score. Good morning, Joan. And then I cut it, okay? I like to cut the other side the same way. So I'm going to line this part up in the track, and then I'm going to line my little tick mark up. And it's easier to see once you close the little arm. I can see that, and I'm just going to adjust this one. There we go. There's our angles. You can save these pieces if you want. So here is the base of our card. That's all I need the trimmer for. So I use these high polymer erasers. They work really well on the dyed cardstock. They don't discolor it. So there's our base. So if I trimmed it correctly, let's get my ruler out here. Looks like somehow I cut it. Just, no, it's okay. So this panel is 3 3/4. This is 4 1/4, and then 3 1/4. So 3 1/4, 4 1/4, 4 1/4, and 3 1/4. Okay, so now we're ready to build our layers. So here's all my bits and pieces. So we're going to set those aside for a second. Okay, so I have these two pieces. Now, some of mine have a double layer, but this one I do not have a double layer for. I just have the Designer Series paper. So this paper is 3 inches by 5 1/4, and we're going to cut it to layer on these flaps. So it's going to go like that. And you can have them going the same way, like this, or you can, no, I guess you could, if you cut your piece, you could have it so that they're facing different ways. Yeah, but that's not going to work to turn it around. So you just plan for that if you want them facing different ways when you cut your piece. Okay, to cut my angle, I'm going to go right along this score line and line up my layer like that. And I want this to be right at the top. Then I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to cut it. Now, I don't know about you, but sometimes I have a hard time cutting like this. I like to start on the bigger side. So if that's how you like to cut, then you can also do it this way. Okay, you just want to make sure you're cutting the right angle for your pattern to go on here. So you can cut it this way and flip it over, or you can put it underneath. And this is how I do one side. I do them different on each side. So I'm just lining up this top corner again. And I'm going to hold that in place and I'm going to trim. If you don't like doing it this way, you can mark it on your trimmer. I got a little off there. Try that again. You can mark it in your trimmer and cut it just like you did your card base. I trimmed that up a little bit because it was a little off. That's okay. It's going to fit just fine on there. So this fits on here like this. And then we will layer these up. Okay. I'm not sure how I want to layer them just yet, but that's what we're going to do. So that's that piece. Now this side is going over here. Again, you can cut it from the front and flip it over like this, or you can do it on the back, whichever works better for you. So this side, I like to line up the other way, and it's how I hold my paper. It's what's more comfortable for me. I just want to make sure it's straight so I don't get that weird weird point on the top. Now the other way I have done in the past is I've put this where I want it, like this, and then trimmed. You just have to make sure that you get this cut off so that it's a point. Otherwise it has like a little end on it. And the idea is that you just cut it, not overthinking it here. Sometimes I have a hard time holding it still. So this little piece is what I used on the inside. So if you want a little bit of that Designer Series paper poking through like I did on this one, you can use your leftover triangle that you cut off on the inside. Okay, so this one goes here. There's our card base, and this is going to go on the inside. You can make it match. You can choose whatever colors you want. I chose Cherry Cobbler just to bring in a little bit of red. Okay, so there's that part. I'm going to go ahead and adhere these things, and then we're going to stamp. So this one I'm going to wait because I want to stamp on it. Okay, wait on that one, and we're going to stamp on this one. So let's go ahead and adhere these so that they're done. Okay, so what do you guys think? Do you want to bring in some green, or do you want to do the trees in, we could do Smoky Slate, or we could do Pool Party. So I'm going to do some little trees. So we're using this stamp set here. And I can use any color. So we can stamp we could stamp the little cabin. We could just stamp the trees and then you know, put with a little sled and then put a holiday greeting. I really like this set. I think it's fun. Okay, so here's my card base. And then this is going to tuck in here. Now you don't have to layer this. Okay, so this will go like this. It's up to you. So you could just leave the white layer in there if you wanted. Gonna put a little block on that. Okay, so what do you think? Oh, okay. Well, I'm going to stamp this little, this rectangle. It's the largest rectangle from the Stylish Shapes. And then I can stamp along this bottom as well. So we just have to decide what color we want our tree. So let's see here. I have Smoky Slate. I do have Pool Party. I don't know if Pool Party trees would look good. Let me see. Do I have a scrap somewhere? You know, I like to test things out sometimes. That's what these million scraps of paper are for, right? So let's stamp some trees and decide. I have Secret Sea out, and I've been doing my greetings in the Cherry Cobbler just so that it's a little bit of a pop of red, but not my main color. So let's take this little scrap here and we'll just test out some colors. So that's Smoky Slate. You like the green, Joan? We could add some green in. So on this one that I stamped, I did some trees and I just cut a rectangle. I didn't do a die cut on that one and I didn't layer it. So you can see there's lots of options and ways to do this. So I definitely encourage you to have some fun with it. That's the Pool Party. I think I like the gray tree better. Excuse me. You could also do Secret Sea trees. So let's see. So I'm doing the kind of like a, I guess they're naked trees, right? There's no leaves on them. So there's Secret Sea. And the other tree that looks like a Christmas tree or an evergreen, that is from Scenic Adventures. And there's a tall one, and then there's this other one. I used this wider tree, but it's shorter. So I really like the trees in this set. I think it goes very well with this. So let's look at some of these. Okay, so here's our card base. Okay, and this red is just going to be a little pop of color because we're going to add this on top, but I want to stamp it before I adhere it. Okay, so this peeks through like this. These colors are going to layer in some way. I haven't decided how that's going to be. It might be, we might twist them around a little bit and then add this on top. I guess we could always do away with one if we wanted. Wasn't sure how I wanted it, so it's always good for me to kind of cut things I think I want to use and then not use them. So you can, on this, you can fit a tree and the little cabin, okay? So if you want to use green, this is kind of how it would look with those other colors. You're introducing another color that we didn't use anywhere else on the card, which is okay, but something to think about. So if we use this, and then we could stamp the house in a different color, so it's kind of more the focal point. Or you can still do, you could do gray trees and the darker basic gray house, and then maybe the deer, if you wanted, in the secret sea. So there's lots of things, ways you could stamp it and do it, but I like to just kind of stamp a few things and see. I definitely don't want the pool party, and I think the secret sea can work too, but I don't know if I want to introduce the green. It's not wrong, it's just kind of your preference and how you choose. Good morning, Dad. Thanks for joining us. So you like the gray trees, maybe the house in cherry cobbler? So let me grab another scrap. Let's try that. It is really bold. And I just have my small cherry cobbler ink thing out. So let's see if I can. So remember, all the stamps in this kind of have lines under it for the ground. It's really juicy. So let me see, where is my... I'm going to wipe that red off of the lines for the ground and see how we like it. So there would be the cherry cobbler. Let me clean this off. And don't worry if your stamp looks stained. Things like cherry cobbler are going to do that. Okay. So that is the cherry cobbler house. Let's see. I'm trying to think what I would like. So here's that. And I do like to kind of test it out before I stamp. So that's kind of what it would look like together. And I could use that other tree and use kind of, use a gray and kind of fill in with that evergreen. So let's try, because if we do our greeting in red, let's try this in this Secret Sea. Let's see how we like it. So here's the Secret Sea house with a gray tree. Or we could do the red house with the Secret Sea tree and maybe some green, these in green behind it. What do you think? Let me know your thoughts in the comments and what colors you would like to stamp in for our elements here. I think I like it without the green. So I typically choose the more muted and then the greeting in red, like I did here. But you can change it up any way that you like. So on these, I both use the red, and on this card, I used the lighter color on the outside and the darker color on the inside. So this was Cloud Cover and Secret Sea. So lots of options. What do you think? Let me know. Let's get a little chatter going and see where we want to do, how we want to stamp this card. So do you like the red to be the pop? And then you have to think about what color your greeting is going to be. You could always use a neutral for your greetings. You can always use gray. Any thoughts on that? What do you love? What do you not? This is the time for us to kind of explore those creative questions and the part of designing your own card. Now you can get this stamp set in my online store. You can shop at my link, and the Scenic Adventure is still in there, and I think this Traditions of Christmas paper is currently out, but you can click the notify me and sign up with your email to be notified when it comes back in. Yes, this is a Christmas card. This is going to be a Christmas card, or whatever holiday you celebrate in the winter. So you like the red as the pop? So the red house or red greetings? And we could still do gray trees. I do have the basic gray over here. It's a little bit darker. Joan, you like that? The red house? Okay. I think we're going to do a red house. That's what everybody's, consensus is in the comments. So I know over on YouTube you won't be able to see those comments, but that was what was voted for. So if you were making this card at home, please substitute in any colors that you want. Okay, so we're going to stamp this. And then we're going to stamp some trees. And I think I'm going to add some of these just to fill in. So again, this is from the Scenic Adventure. And I'm going to stamp my house first. So I'm using a little ink spot from a paper pumpkin. But I do have a big cherry cobbler pad, but it's over on the other side right now. So we'll just use this. So if you get paper pumpkins and you collect these can be re-inked, and I often use them over here just when I'm stamping real quick. Okay, so I'm just using a little towel, and I'm wiping off. There's a little line under the cabin, and I really don't want that to be red. So I'm wiping this line off. Now, to get around this, if you have the stamp and you only have like Smoky Slate or a light neutral ink, you could stamp it and then take your blend and color over it. So that's a way around if you don't have this color. I'm going to put the house kind of in the middle. Trying to make sure I'm stamping straight. Hopefully it is. There's my little red house. Okay, so if you have photopolymers and you don't have the glass mat, make sure that you are using your Stampin' Pierce mat under your project. So that's just a gray mat. I don't know if I have one over here, but it's just a little gray mat you can get from the online store. And you want to make sure you're using that with your photopolymer. They are not cushioned, so sometimes they need a little help on different surfaces to give you the best image. Okay. So this stamp set has a single tree and then a trio here. I am going to do, okay, so I have Smoky Slate here. And I'm going to do a little quick masking. So I have some sticky notes nearby. And I'm just going to, I just ripped it. Doesn't have to be perfect. It does need some sticky though. At the wrong end. I just don't want my window to have the tree showing through it. So I just created kind of a quick mask. And I'm going to use this. And I'm kind of letting it hang off a little bit. I think I'm going to stamp off. Let's see. Scrap here. So I stamped off a little bit. And I'm just going to fill this tree in around my house here. So I just filled in the background a little bit with that tree from the Scenic Adventure. Now I'm going to come in with that Secret Sea. And we're going to stamp these. Now there's a bunch of lines down here. So you can see I kind of let my stamp hang off the edge of my stamp pad, so not all of that is going to stamp on there. So I'll do some trees over here, and then I'm going to do this single tree over here. So there's our little winter scene for the front of our card. Now I'm going to show you a little trick that I like to do with my blends. I'm going to take my light smoky slate and I'm just going to add in some ground marks. It's not perfect. And then I take my color lifter and I just kind of go over that. Try not to touch that red ink. Red ink can be difficult, and you may get it on the end of this marker and transfer that elsewhere on your card. So typically you're okay with the classic inks, but the red, sometimes it takes a little bit more to dry, and so I just try to not touch it. So there's our little layer. It's going to go here. We don't have our greeting yet. That's okay. Somewhere, oh, there it is. I hid my white piece from me. We're going to stamp the bottom of this. So do we want a little deer or do we want a little bear in our trees? So I'm going to stamp these trees, and I'm going to use this tree from Scenic Adventure, and then I'm going to stamp an animal down here to go along with our Christmas card. I love and you know what? A bear is not going to be asleep when we celebrate Christmas, but I just like the image. So the idea is just to have some fun with it. So I'm going to start stamping my trees. And you guys can let me know what kind of animal you would like down here toward the bottom. Oh, yikes. Careful. Don't do that. My stamp stuck to my thing. So I stamped 5 trees, stamped 3 and 2 in the background, and I did all of those stamped off. Okay. Now we are going to stamp our tree, and it looks like we're going to do a deer in Secret Sea. So I'm going to do a single tree, and I'm going to do a deer. And then we're going to look at our greetings and what we want to put in here. Single tree. And then my little deer. Okay. Now we're almost done. Okay, so this goes on the inside, I would like to stamp something on there. Either, I usually do Merry Christmas, but, and then we have this. We don't have to use all of these, but I do kind of like the pool party breaking it up. This is going to get adhered to this side only, and this closes. So what do we want the front to say? I do have that stamp set that I've been loving on, that goes with the kit. It does have From Our House to Yours. And then I have this has bigger greetings, So you don't have to put a greeting on the front. You could leave it as is and leave it plain and then just stamp Merry Christmas, or sending love and joy, 'tis the season. You could stamp whatever you want. So on this one I did 'tis the season and then Merry Christmas. We can stamp it on a strip and add it on top. Okay. Oh, Chrissy, I just saw you said bear and deer. So you could stamp all the way across here if you don't like to write a lot in your cards and you're just maybe writing, you know, Roy's Merry Christmas, love, you know, whoever, whoever you're writing it to, Merry Christmas, then you don't need to leave a lot of room for a personal message. And I do like some doing this smoky slate and stamping off, because sometimes when it's on the inside, if I'm writing with a dark pen, I can kind of write right over that if I need a little more space. So you definitely can add in if you want this to have more on it. That definitely works. Okay, so greeting. Do we want to add a greeting on the front? Let's decide that first. So yes, greeting on the front, or no. And then we'll decide what we want it to be. Yeah, I love this from Our House to Yours. So when you look up this kit, Calm and Bright, kits are available in all markets. So if you're watching and you're not from the US, this kit is in the online store in the kits collection. It is currently out of stock here in the US. So you can do that, notify me, and it'll let you know when it comes back in stock. Okay, Deb likes what Joan said. Okay, so let's take a vote. It looks like everybody does want a greeting on the front. So do we want it to say, I'm going to pull this out just so that it's a little easier to see, from Our House to Yours. Okay, and it could go right along the bottom there. It's a very small greeting. I've been using it a ton. Okay. Or 'tis the season. And it is a bigger greeting, so we might need a strip. Yeah, I'll need to put it on a strip and then put it on top, which is fine. So let's do A, from Our House to Yours, or B, 'tis the season. Let's see how we're going to finish up this card. So I had 2 votes for From Our House to Yours. Okay, so if you want 'tis the season, make sure you pop that into the chat. Okay, it looks like a lot of people like this little greeting. I love this little stamp set. I'm going to get a lot of use out of it, especially that Merry Christmas. I really like that size. Okay, so from Our House to Yours. And then on the inside, I am saying Merry Christmas. That's what I say for the holidays. So you can stamp this however you like. If you like season's greetings, this does have a season's greetings. We have lots of sets that say season's greetings. So, I have 2 options for Merry Christmas. So the solid Merry and the scripty Christmas, or I have the scripty Merry. So I have 2 different Marys that go with this. We're going to stamp this down here, and we need to know what color we're going to stamp in. So this fits. Oh, that's not straight. This fits right on that bottom. Okay, so I don't need any extra strips. If you have a bigger greeting, you might want to add a little strip. I have a huge pile over here from, you know, when I cut my paper sizes, I keep little strips. So, all right, it looks like everyone's in agreement. Wow. So we all want from our house to yours. And now we just have to decide which Mary we want to go with our Christmas. And we need to decide the color that we want to stamp in. So first, let's decide which Mary we want. Then we're going to decide the color. And they don't have to be the same on the front and the inside. So let's do one for the cursive Mary, or two for the block Mary. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Okay, so number 1, cursive Mary. Number 2, block. Ooh, everybody likes the block Mary, it looks like. Okay. All right, now we need a color. So, because our house is red, I feel like it's a lot if we do it. And I don't know how these are going to look underneath, so I just keep moving them around. We'll figure that out in a minute. What color do we want our greeting? So you could do it in Pool Party. The red might be a little much. So let me grab. I just have a strip here. I'm going to test some things out. That's Pool Party. Looks like it would really show up too. So that's Pool Party. Oh, I see a few people like the scripty. Yeah, I like both of them, honestly. I've been using both. I really like that traditional labels greeting set. Trying to clean off my stamp here. So I see someone would like Secret C greetings for all of them. So this is Pool Party. Kind of introduces that color that we've been using the cardstock of. That's Secret C. There is Smoky Slate. So it's very subtle. So, ooh, Secret C. And then on the inside, now remember, this is going to layer. Let me pull this out with the cherry cobbler. And this will go about here. So what do you guys think? Deb suggests Secret C on the outside and cherry cobbler on the inside. Or do you want Secret C for them all? So here's this one again. So that would be what the Secret C looks like. Any thoughts? Excuse me. I think a lot of people just like Secret C, which you don't have to match. Like I said, on the first one I didn't match, and that's okay. So let's stamp this one. And we will finish this up. There's that. And now I'm going to stamp this one. And we're going to go ahead and do it in Secret C. There's that. Okay, now I'm just going to adhere everything. Excuse me. Oh, my goodness. I'm sorry. So if you liked cherry cobbler for the inside greeting, feel free to change that up and do it different than I did. Okay, I'm going to show you a little something. So if you're wanting a pop of red, I'm going to take my blends. I'm going to put some little dots here. And then I'm just going to draw in with my pencil. Well, maybe not. It's not dark enough. Okay, I have a gray Sharpie. We have some little ornaments hanging off of our tree there. So you can, you know, put little ornaments hanging in your tree. Maybe you want one up here. Maybe one up there. Maybe one at the top. So you can add in fun little things. Okay, so we're gonna put this on the inside. There we go. Okay. Now I have to figure out how I want to layer these. And I kind of want to do something like this. Okay. And then this on the top. So I have the three colors. I like my things to be kind of lined up. If you like your things wonky, you could turn these, and you might want to do smaller squares. and you can do it like this, okay? Or however you like, but I like it like this. And I'm laying it on the front so I can see how it's going to lay on my card. Okay. So I want it kind of like that with those colors popping out. And if you don't like as much color, slide them closer together. Like that. Now I'm going to take my glue and squirt it in there. Hopefully, I don't think I put enough. So I'm just adhering these two together. Okay. Like that. And then I'm going to put this one on top. I'm just putting a little adhesive in the middle. So I've created a layer here. Oh, let me straighten that back up. Now I can put part of it on dimensionals if you want it to pop up. Okay, so it is a fun fold. I don't always put a ton of dimensionals on cards like this because I like to mail them. But this one I am going to put dimensionals on, and I want this to be about here. Okay, I do want it to hang over just a little bit onto this piece. So I got to make sure I don't put any dimensionals on anything that's going past this. So I just want to make sure right here my dimensionals stop. So I'm going to kind of hang on to it and flip it over. I know I don't want any on this side. I'm going to put dimensionals on these. Yes, Joan, we do time change here. I do love it, but I hate it in the spring because it's always fun to gain an hour. It is not fun to lose an hour. Okay, so I put these on here. I'm just kind of laying this down and I'm pressing it. So I want a dimensional right here. I can kind of feel that it needs something. Good enough. Okay. Now I'm going to peel all these backings off, and this card is done. So I think probably the hardest thing is deciding what you want your card to look like. And obviously that's a process, and you can take your time, or you can copy the color scheme, you can copy the stamp sets, the paper, whatever. Kind of use other cards for inspiration. And I'm just trying to get it about the middle. I noticed that my one square is not exactly perfect. That's okay. I just want to make sure when I open it, there's nothing here. So there is the angled gatefold. And this is a wide gatefold, so it overlaps. Isn't that cute? So there we go. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to go ahead and do that second card if you guys want to hang about. And I'm going to do it quick. So I've already shown you the bones, and it is just a layered card, and we're only doing greetings. I'm not stamping a scene or anything like that. So I'm going to go ahead and do that card and show you how I would do it. Just going to toss some things out of my way here. Okay, So I'm going to bring this in. This is a layered card. I will have to die cut a greeting or, you know, use, excuse me, if you don't have a cut and emboss and you don't do die cuts, you can always just cut squares and rectangles, or if you have a circle punch or something. Again, my base has to be 5.5. By 10 3/4. So I'm going to use this right here and cut off 1/4. Then I'm going to score it at 3 1/4. And this is thick, basic white. I'm going to stick this in my base at 4 1/4. Put my marks. Aw, thank you guys. I appreciate that. So hopefully I'm still in. I'm just lining up those tick marks I made with my score line. And I'm trimming that angle. And then you can erase any pencil lines that are left. So how many of you like the look of this fun fold? I feel like I've seen a ton of these cards, but I hadn't really tried this, and so I like it. Okay, for my layers, I have two-tone Secret Sea, so you could use either side for this, whatever side you like, if you like the light or the dark. These are 3 inches by 5 1/4. So that's going to be my first layer here. Then I have this beautiful large poinsettia and white flowers. It's from the Traditions of Christmas. And I'm going to cut this at an angle as well. This layer is 2 3/4 by 5. So these are going to layer on the front, the 2 flaps. And then I will grab another basic white piece. You can use willow white, whatever white you want. That's going to be 3 3/4 by 5. So this is 5 1/4 by 4. This is 5 by 3 3/4. So 5 this way, 3 3/4. This is my typical layers for my cards. That's going to go on the inside. So let me show you how I cut this layer. Again, I'm going to do the same thing. I go right to the top, okay, and I flip it over. It's hard to line up sometimes when you have the camera in your face, so. It's not going to be perfect. That's okay. I do better from this side. Okay. Now for this one, I want these to layer, so I'm going to line this up just like we did for the front flap. I'm going to put this right to the top so they match. Line up this side, and then I'm going to trim this off. Make sure you have the pattern going the way that you intend for it to go. Okay, so there's my layers. You can save this to put on the inside of your card if you want. So that's the left flap. Now I'm going to do the right. Line it up again. So I'm curious, in the comments, let me know, how do you like cutting angles? What's your preferred way to cut angles? Do you just line it up like I'm doing and kind of freehand it? Do you do the measurements? Oops. I know I moved a little bit there. It's going to come out okay. It'll be all right. Oh, thank you. Okay, again, we're going to line this up on the edge. So I want it to go all the way to the point and then along this edge. And this is easier for me to hold, so I have a better time cutting angles when it's not up against my card base. Okay, so there's my two flaps. Adhere these together. Hey, Vicky, thanks for popping in for a minute. Oh, I think I messed up my corner a little bit there, but that's okay. So this flap goes in. I love this paper. Really, really love it. Oh, Joan, I know. I went to order more and it was already sold out. So I'm patiently waiting for it to come back in, because it is just beautiful. I think I love all the patterns in it, which that rarely happens for me. I just, sometimes we get picky about things, and I'm kind of picky sometimes. But I really love this paper pack. It's just gorgeous. Now this does have a stamp set that you can get that has the flowers. It is called Christmas Greenery. So you could make this a very layered card. But I am making this one simple. Now I am going to stamp my Merry Christmas. I'm going to do the scripty one. On the inside here. And I am going to do this sending love and joy, and I'm going to die cut it. So I am going to stamp this outside greeting in the Secret C, and I'm going to stamp the inside greeting in my cherry cobbler. So we're going to keep it pretty simple. I am going to, remember that extra piece I had here? I'm going to stamp this and then die cut it. I don't know if I have a, here I might have a smaller piece. This one will work. So this one's going to be in the Secret C, and then I'm going to use the coordinating die. Hopefully this piece is long enough. There's that. I'm going to go ahead and stamp my inside piece before I die cut, because I like my cherry cobbler to sit for a minute before I touch it. So you can make this angled gatefold and keep it very simple, or you can layer it up and just have some fun with it. If you're nervous about stamping with these, you know, use a stamp positioner. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to let that sit for a second. I'm going to bring in little tiny guy here and my coordinating label. So this is the traditional labels dies. It goes with the traditional labels stamp set. And I'm going to use this die right here. That's why I said hopefully my paper's long enough, but we have these three and these three, and they have lots of different fun shapes. I might have to take this off. There, I need my mini to have its little feet on my mat so it grips it. So we have one, and then a cutting plate. Ooh, just barely fits. Oh, it's not gonna fit. All right, redo. Just stamp it on this one. It happens sometimes, doesn't it? That's all right. Easy fix. I'm just gonna stamp it on this one. Now, the way it goes. Hold on. Sorry, I might be off screen. I'm just trying to make sure I put my die on the correct way so it goes along with my words. I use some little sticky tape to hold that in place. I just use Post-it tape. You can use washi tape or whatever you like. And this little mini is great if you just have little scraps that you're die cutting your greetings from. So it folds up, it can be nearby. there is that. All right. I'm ready to finish up this card. So I'm going to put this right here. And I'm going to put dimensionals only on this side so that it opens. Remember that. And then this just gets adhered on the inside. Oh. Maggie, yes, you planned far ahead. I love that though. So you ordered enough to do your Christmas cards for next year. Yeah, I love this paper pack. And it's supposed to come in the next 2 or 3 weeks. And so I am definitely putting to get notified, because even though I'm a demonstrator and I can look these up, you know, sometimes you get busy and you forget to check. And there are quite a few things that keep selling out because they're very popular. So the Peaceful Garden paper just came back in. And so, of course, I had to grab some of that. I love that paper too. So it's now that they have that notify me, it's so nice because I can, I check my email every day so I can see that something is back in stock and I can get it without worrying about checking my updates every day. And if you're not a demonstrator, then you definitely want to know, because you don't want to have to check on the website every day. Okay. All right, so I'm going to put this about the middle like that. And so I know about the Y is where I want to stop my dimensionals. So how many of you have this set? I think it's so pretty. It's a really pretty suite. It's a mega suite. It has two bundles that are associated with it. Let's see. I can squeeze one in right there. And I don't have the ribbon. I think this one's the one that has the pretty red ribbon, but I don't use a lot of ribbon, so I tend to skip the ribbon. The embellishments, I think, have also been sold out. I don't know if it's for this one. There's so many pretty embellishments and ribbons that I don't remember which goes with which suite, but there's so many pretty things. Just trying to make sure I have that straight. When I have something that's kind of curved, sometimes I don't always get it straight. So there we go. Sending love and joy. And again, make sure you don't put anything on this side. You don't want it to attach, and then it opens, and Merry Christmas. So this one's simpler, but the designer series paper is so pretty. It does all the work for you, so you don't have to have all the other stuff. So here are our 2 cards. So you can layer it up with lots of color and stamp your own thing and just use a little bit of paper. Or you can keep it simple and let the paper do all the work. I'd love to know which card's your favorite. So please let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you've enjoyed this fancy fold. Or fun fold. It's not really fancy. It's just a fun fold. It's called the Angled Gatefold. You can search it. You can also search Julia Sue's Stamping on YouTube and find her video. And, oh, thank you. So if you need any of the Stampin' Up! Products, feel free to go over to my store at bethroy.stampinup.net and click on that Shop Now, and you can find these products. Traditional labels. It does have a bundle available with coordinating dies. This was Woodland Scenery, and the other tree came from Scenic Adventure. So thank you all. Have a lovely weekend, and I'll see you soon. Bye.